So today we're going to be talking about classifying triangles. So we have some vocabulary that goes along with this. So we're going to start with our angles, how to classify them according to their angles. So the first one we have is acute triangle. An acute triangle is a triangle where all of the angles are less than 90 degrees. The next one is an obtuse triangle. That means that we have one angle that is greater than 90 degrees. And then we have a right triangle, where we have one angle that is exactly 90 degrees, or a right angle. And then the last one is equiangular, which means that all of the angles are congruent. Okay, then we go on to classifying by sides. So in order to classify by sides, we have three different ones. The first one is scalene. Scalene means that none of the sides are congruent. The next one is isosceles. That means that we have two sides that are congruent. And then the third one is equilateral, which means all three sides are congruent. So let's look at a couple examples. Now, most of what you're going to see in class is going to be classifying these. So a couple different things that we do with this. The first one, we have a triangle here, triangle SRT. It is equilateral. So we know all three sides are the same. So then we're going to find x. Now we could do this with any of them. So we had our sides over here. Scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. You could also do this with an isosceles triangle. If you have two sides that are congruent, you could find x. So since we know all three are the same, first thing we're going to do is set two of those equal to each other so that we can find x. And then it also asks us to find the measure of each of the sides. So I'm going to set up x plus 9 equals 2x. And then I'm going to solve for x. So subtract x from both sides. I have 9 equals x. So that one was pretty simple. I could have also set it up with 3x minus 9 equals x plus 9. So then I would have added 9 to both sides. So I have 3x equals x plus 18. And then subtract x from both sides. So I have 2x equals 18. Divide by 2. And we get x equals 9. Any of the combinations, you could set them and you're still going to get x equals 9. So then the second part is to find the measure of each side, so we're just going to plug it back in. So if 2x, and we know x equals 9, then we know that the side is 18. You could also have set it into the one x plus 9, so 9 plus 9 gives us 18, or we could have said 3x minus 9, 3 times 9 minus 9, so 27 minus 9 gives us, again, 18. So the sides are 18, and x equals 9. Okay, let's do one more example here. This is using coordinates. So we're going to classify the triangle by its sides, and we have to do that using the coordinates here that they gave us. So in order to do that, we're actually going to be using the distance formula. So first I'm going to be finding EC. So for EC, I'm going to be taking the square root of a negative 5 minus 2 squared plus 3 minus 2 squared. Okay, so I just used my coordinates here. A negative 5 minus the 2 and 3 minus the 2. So then we're going to simplify. Negative 5 minus 2 is a negative 7 squared plus 3 minus 2 is 1 squared. So we have 49 plus 1. So we end up with square root of 50. I'm going to leave it there for now. and see what my other sides are. So then the next side that I'm going to work on is ED. For ED, I'm doing square root of a negative 5 minus 3 squared plus 3 minus 9 squared. So I use these coordinates here and then up here. So simplifying inside the parentheses, a negative 5 minus 3 is a negative 7 squared plus 3 minus 9 is a negative 6 squared. So I have 49 plus 36. These are still in my square roots. So then I end up with, oh, excuse me. I added wrong here. This should be 8, not 7. So this is actually 64, which ends up with square root of 100, which is 10. Sorry for that interruption there. And then our last side that we're dealing with is DC equals square root 3 minus 2 squared plus 9 minus 2 squared. So we're going to simplify there. 3 minus 2 is 1 squared. 9 minus 2 is 7 squared. So we have 1 plus 49, which again is our square root of 50. So now they asked us to classify it by the sides. So we're going to go back here to, oh, I'm sorry, I went off the screen for you there. So this was square root of 3 minus 2 squared plus 9 minus 2 squared gives us 1. 3 minus 2 is 1 squared plus the 9 minus 2 is 7. So that's squared. So we get 1 plus 49, which is our square root of 50. So now I'm going back to the front of this to classify by sides. Scalene says none of them are the same. Well, I have 2 that are the same, so that one's not going to work. Isosceles says 2 that are the same. I have that. Equilateral says 3 that are the same. Well, I don't have 3, so this is isosceles. So we've classified it as isosceles. That's all we're going to do for this video. It's a pretty short one, but this should be pretty straightforward. We'll talk more about it in class tomorrow. Have a great evening. Bye.